something that you love going out and taking photos of. It could be anything, but it should be a consistent subject matter. So don't, take a little bit of portraiture, a little bit of landscape. Try to figure out something that you really love. Like, say you really enjoyed light writing, or you really enjoyed panning, or you really enjoyed really cool shallow depth of field photos, or you love photo narration. Whatever it is that you really are passionate about, the first thing I want you to do is think about whatever topic you're excited about, and then look for inspirational photos to just act as your springboard. From there, you can look at, once you find some photos that you're really passionate about, that really speak to you, analyze them for subject matter, for visual message, for color use, for composition, lighting, shutter speed, depth of field. See if there is an overlapping content element, photographic technique, subject matter, color use, whatever it might be. And then use that as your concept, because that's what attracts you to those photos, is something that you can incorporate into your own photos. And then it'll be more likely that you'll enjoy and appreciate your own photos, and you'll help to figure out what your style is. And that style will consistently change. Now, what I don't want you to do is find some really amazing photos and then take an exact duplicate of those photos. Unless those photos require you to fly out to Hawaii, in which case it's completely okay. You can just then put it down as a school tuition, an educational expense, and your parents will be okay with that. All right, but seriously, do a bunch of research first after you pick your topic, and then go out and start shooting. And I expect for this project, I put 6 hours of going out and shooting. Realistically, you're probably going to spend, hopefully for a really good successful project, probably closer to 12 hours when it comes to shooting your photos, editing your photos, analyzing inspirational photos, and then going back out and reshooting to try and get better shots. After you get those 100 photos, we're going to narrow it down to what you think your top 5 are. And that top 5 should be stellar photos, and they should be very distinctive from each other. So you might say you love portrait photography or modeling. You go out and you get a model, have them dress up, and you take a bunch of photos of that model, and after the end of the day, you really are in love with like 3 of those photos. Well, you can only use 1 of those photos in the final submission because you want the photos to be distinct. Any questions about that? No? Oh, yes.
When we're picking our topic, is it what we're taking pictures of or the technique we're using?
It could be either.
Okay.
Yeah, you can pick a specific topic, like you love taking pictures of cars, then that could be it, and then you can use whatever techniques you want. But you might really love light painting, in which case all your photos should be about light painting. Okay. All right, awesome. Now for the title, you want to go ahead and give a unique title that's reflective of the visual impact you want it to have on the audience. And then caption, you want it if it's the original photo, then you just say original in the caption. Expect you to edit all your photos. So in the end submission, you'll probably have 10 photos. You'll have the original and then the edited version. And then specify edit and then explain the intended visual message and how it correlates. All right, and then you're going to upload the highest resolution of the first 5 photos, not 6. Of the top 5. And then you're going to critique at the end. Now, what is due this week, you'll notice, is nothing to do with Project 3. So what I expect you to do this week is you're going to critique Project 2, if you haven't already. You're going to complete Exam 3, which is all the readings that we've done so far. And I want you to start researching inspirational photos. Start trying to pick a topic, figure out what kind of inspirational photos, because next week's assignment will be for you to submit progress photos towards that assignment. All right? Does anyone here have an idea what they want to focus their Project 3 on? Oh,
You can go ahead.
yeah, go ahead, Kevin.
Censorship.
Censorship. Okay, so you want
I'm
it to
just
be.
asking. I'm just asking.
You can do censorship.
No, I'm asking like the censorship gu- uh, gu- guidelines like from you.
Oh, as far as like what you are not allowed to do
Yeah.
in the class. So we follow TASA, which basically means you can do anything that you want to do as long as it's not illegal. Like I've had students who really love taking photos of abandoned buildings. If you but you have to get permission to go into those buildings, and you don't want to just break into a building and start taking photos inside there. I've had students who wanted to show domestic violence, but they didn't actually commit domestic violence, but they wanted to do that, and that was allowed. But in that instance, they needed to specify in the title that this could be content that might be concerning, and then explain what that content is. So students who don't feel comfortable looking at that kind of artwork do not have to look at it. Did that answer your question, Kevin? Okay, perfect. What was your question?
Oh, I was gonna say I was interested in doing like zoom burst.
Oh, cool. Okay, so do you like it where you zoom in on an object, or are you gonna just do like neon, or are you gonna do like standard normal exposure, but then you do a zoom burst effect on it?
I was gonna play around, so like a little bit of everything, kind of like with the lights, and then also just like kind of like the dream effect it gives and that kind of stuff.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, I saw some really neat impressionistic landscape photos that used zoom burst, and it really changed the way you saw the photo. It created a really interesting sense of motion. In this case, it was kind of a creepiness value as well. I just love the mood that it conveyed. Anyone else have an idea about their topic?
Could we do like shutter speed, and then it's just like longer shutter speed is like the whole project? It doesn't matter like what the pictures are of.
Yeah, well, if you choose shutter speed, I don't want it, like pick fast like frozen motion or pick slow shutter speed.
Okay.
I would prefer it if you could even narrow it down a little bit more, because shutter speed is so broad
Yeah.
as far as what you want. You could say like I want to do slow shutter speed with like vehicles, for instance, and that could work because then you kind of narrowed it down to a subject matter with the technique. Okay, cool. All right, anyone else have an idea of what you might want to take photos of? All right, it can seem really intimidating, especially when it's the final project, but at this point, hopefully the camera is not something you're struggling with anymore, and now you can just think about what you love, and then be able to create artistic versions of that and convey a visual message. All right, so if you have no questions, then let's go ahead and talk about this week. This week, we are going to focus on forced perspective. And forced perspective is, I'm sure you guys have seen really cool photos where they have people and they're interacting with objects, and there's a weird sense of scale in that interaction. So in this particular case, is this a shallow or deep depth of field photo? Deep. Foreground and background is in focus. And in what do you think the visual message is here?
He's eating in the car.
Yeah. Someone's really hungry. So in it, now what makes this not seem believable?
Because his head is bigger than the car.
Well, I mean, this could have been like a toy car that's made of chocolate, so it could be totally okay for it to be smaller. But what do you think when you look at this? What kind of makes you feel like, okay, this isn't real?
The lighting,
And what is it about the lighting?
it's the subject is like darker in the front, and then in the back it's like the sun's on it and stuff.
Exactly. So one of the things that you want to do whenever you're dealing with forced perspective is to go ahead and make sure that the lighting is consistent between the objects that are being interacted with. Now, does anyone know how this person's camera, like if you were going to take this photo, how would you set your camera in order to ensure that you could get both subjects in focus and positioned correctly? So assume you're in full manual mode. What's the first thing you would do?
uh, depth of field.
Okay, so you're definitely dealing with depth of field. So in this case, do you think it's a high F number or high F number? The higher the F number, the deeper the field. Is this zoomed in or zoomed out?
Zoomed out.
So normally it would be zoomed out,
Kind of.
but in this case it's actually zoomed in. And the reason behind that is when you zoom in, it actually creates a sense of compression. So it takes the distance between objects and it compresses it together so they seem closer to one another. Now, do you think the subject was close or further away from this parent? Like the photographer, from the individual who's eating the car?
Close.
He was actually further away in order to deepen the depth of field, especially since they had to zoom in.
Well, the person or like
The photographer.
the person from that person or from the car.
Okay, so if I was a photographer taking this
Yeah.
picture, because I had to zoom in,
Yeah.
I would actually have to go a step further back to make sure the depth of field is deep enough. So what edit did they have to do to get it framed this way?
Crop it.
Yeah, they had to crop the image in order to get this shot and to get this framing. Okay, so here's another example of using depth of field and force perspective to try and change what's actually happening in reality. So when you take a look at this, what did they do wrong in this image that breaks the illusion that they're basically pouring water out?
The hand's really blurry.
Yeah, it's out of focus.
Yeah, the hand is out of focus. And so this is one of those situations where you need to make sure that the focus of the hand is equivalent to the focus of everything else in the shot. What else seems to be a little off?
The water in the bottle.
Okay, yeah, so there's water that is, you don't really see much water. In fact, you don't see any water coming out of the bottle.
The condensation in it, maybe?
Yeah, right here, you can see the little dots of the
Because
condensation.
it kind of gives you like a ball to put it into.
But there's something else. Does the lighting look consistent on the hand and the background? So that's one of the biggest issues that you have to do. Make sure that the lighting is consistent across, just to make it seem more believable. All right, so this is another common force perspective shot. What do you think is wrong with this shot that makes it seem less believable?
Shadows on his face.
The shadows on his face do not match the shadows that you see on the people's faces here. What else?
And also the reflection of the sunglasses, because it's not, if it was he really blowing over, you would see the reflection of the people out of the glasses.
That is really observant. And yes, yeah, you should definitely see a reflection in there of some kind. And you could do kind of a double exposure shot to try and create that illusion, or do edits in post to make that happen. What else? No ideas?
His hand is not completely flat. It's kind of like pitched up a little bit.
Yes, exactly. So if someone was standing right here on his hand, you would think like this is okay right here where you see the bottom of the sole of his shoe and it's on top of his hand. But as it goes up, it doesn't have that same illusion. So some of the common problems I have seen when people are trying to emulate the shot is that their hand will be tilted this way. And if that happens, then there's no, unless the people are riding along this top ridge right here, it doesn't look like they're resting in the palm of the hand. So you want to go ahead and try to keep it as flat as possible. But it's a really cool way to change a sense of scale.
Oh, okay. That one's really good.
Yeah, this one is pretty awesome. So,
I'm confused.
how did they take this photo?
They had like a problem in that.
Mm-hmm. And so, right now, when you look at this individual right here, what is that person having to do? Yeah, he's trying to hold himself up in order to make it seem like he's looking down and out, coming out of a grass wall. Now, when you look at his clothing, and I know this is hard to see, but when you look at his clothing, you'll notice that his clothing is kind of bulging out towards the base. So like the back of his shirt is kind of coming out because of gravity. And so if you try to create this illusion, make sure that your subjects are wearing tight clothing. And if they're not wearing tight clothing, make sure they tuck it in as much as they can. So like a dress probably wouldn't work well in this sort of shot. All right, where does the photographer have to be to get this photo?
Pretty high up, like on the crane or something, pretty up on like stairs.
Angle down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and so is depth of field a really big factor in this?
No, not as much.
Yeah, so you're just basically going up and going down, and so the depth of field does not have to be that deep because the subjects are basically on the same plane of exposure. All right,
That's
and
kinda cool.
how did they take this photo? What's that?
It's upside down,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Up-
And resting in grass.
Or they just pulled out a big chunk of grass and put it on their head. But in this case, the person was upside down. Okay, so here are some overall tips to be successful at this. You want to shoot in full manual. You want it to be simple. You don't want a lot of complexity in this forced perspective shot. Simpler it is, the better it is. And so in this particular case, we have a subject in silhouette, and it looks like they're doing what with the sun?
Like
Like
soccer.
soccer.
Yeah, playing soccer with it. Now, what about the color in this? What does the color make? How does it make you feel?
It tracks you to the painting because it's the color, you know, like I think it's the same like thing as in Project 2 and like the color aspect of the work, you know.
Mhm.
So it attracts you to it, like
Red, psychologically, we're attracted and we look at red.
Yeah.
Tatum, were you going to say
It's
something?
lively.
Yeah, and it adds energy. And so red is a color that's normally associated with passion, with energy. And so choosing a red background really would help with that.
and that small circle is like a focal point.
Mm-hmm.
And it attracts you to that little spot, so it's a focal point. And
Yeah.
and the black also has the same effect as the red. It gains your attention quickly, like on a composition, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this black has really good contrast with the red.
Yeah.
And so it really stands out. Okay, so placement of subject is key in this. You really want to make sure that, in this case, if the tea kettle, this is supposed to be the steam coming out of it, that's positioned such that it believably looks like those two objects are connected. And that the lighting is consistent there as well. And so lighting is key. Like if, in this particular case, when you look at this, and you look at the light that's on this boy's face versus the light that's on this girl, it can't be believable because of the direction of the light. The light's hitting the back of her hair, and so then that light would hit this boy's face. And then right here, it looks like they're looking at each other, and it's creating a fake implied line. All right, now whenever you're trying to do forced perspective, you want to use objects that people understand the sense of scale of. So when you use like people, bicycles, cars, things that people just naturally understand, oh, I know how big that is. So then when they look at the rest of the surroundings, it confuses them because they're like, okay, how is this possible? How is this person standing on this building right over here? You want to make sure that there is deep depth of field in the photo. And don't be afraid to take multiple shots from slightly different angles and then take a look and see which one looks the best. Okay. And this is the other part. You want to experiment as much as possible. Try out different things. Try out different angles. Try out different ideas. And you're going to be impressed by what you come up with. So what we're going to do now is we are going to break into groups. And I want you to go out there and you are going to take several forced perspective shots. 5 or more unique forced perspective shots, but you're going to work as a group. So you can work with 2 to 3 people in your group. Go out there and try to take as many different forced perspective shots. Think about a person interacting with someone who's further away. You can have like someone jumping into a backpack. You can go from a high vantage point, angle down, change, altering gravity, whatever you want to do. And then come back in here, so it's 1:47 right now. Come back in here by, say, let's go with 2:20, so about 30 minutes. And then we'll go ahead and take a look at what you guys produced. Yes, sir. What about it?
No, it's like the colors in the sky. Like I think I captured it the other night, and it's pretty cool.
Oh, that is really
Yeah,
neat.
but like you said, like my project number 2, like I'm having trouble trying to find focus. It's like in the screen, how I see it is clear, but it don't come out as clear and as it in focus as it does. It's kind of weird because I'm assuming that I got the shot, but I guess
Yeah.
not.
So whenever you try and take the photo,
Mhm.
when you're in here. Oh, guys, so you're gonna go out there and take photos. You're feel free to go out,
It's not
partner
close.
up with people. Oh, we won't need it for this. Okay, so if you go into live view mode, we're in manual focus. Oh, does it not have battery?
No, it's not in yet.
Oh, it doesn't need to be in.
Okay.
I just want to show you. So if you go into live view mode, right? All right. So you might go, okay, it looks like it's in focus, right? Okay. Then you hit this plus sign right up here. It'll zoom in, and then you can really make sure it's in focus.
Okay.
And that's how you'll know.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
No problem.